Hey guys, this is your boy NCSO7 here doing a re-review on Mario Tennis Aces. Now, I reviewed this game like 2 years ago, and honestly, upon looking back on it, I feel like I could do much better. I played more of the game, and I've kind of gotten a better understanding of how the game works, and I think now is a very good time to finally do my re-review, or the real review of Mario Tennis Aces. So here we go. So we'll start off with the presentation, and it's pretty much like the other Mario Tennis games. Essentially, you play tennis, hence the title, and yeah, there's a lot of various things you can do, which we'll get into later, but essentially you have a lot of really cool moves you can do on various different courts, as well as an adventure mode that we'll also get into later. But in terms of that, it's pretty good. It has a good sort of character to it, and the graphics for the game look really nice. There's nothing really about the graphics that I would say I don't like. I don't know. The game looks really nice. It kind of gives me that Mario Kart 8 sort of vibe where it just looks so good. The performance for the game works really well depending on if you're in docked or handheld mode. So in terms of presentation, it's pretty good. Next we'll get into the story, and the story for the game is essentially Luigi gets possessed by this racket or something like that, and then it transforms Wario and Waluigi into like these stone creatures, and you essentially have to stop them by getting these like 5 orbs or whatever. I don't know. It's not really that interesting of a story, to be honest, and it's like I don't think we really were asking for too much. We weren't expecting something like from the Game Boy Advance titles where they're super deep stories, but it's like they don't really have much to it. Like, that's really it. And not only that, but the story really loses its coolness after a while. It just feels sort of stupid. I don't know. It just never really takes any twists and turns. Nothing happens in between, like the game or anything like that. There's no plot twist or anything, but it's just sort of there. It really just doesn't really need to be there. And it sucks because at first you think it's going to be really cool. They play this cutscene where Luigi gets possessed and all that jazz, and it's so good. And it's the only cutscene in the game, except for like a 12-second cutscene at the end that's really not that impressive. And it's just like, and like the story at first, it sounds really cool, but they never do anything with the story. They never really take it anywhere. In fact, it almost gets completely thrown away pretty much after a while. It just loses a lot of its oomph after a while. Hell, after like the first orb, it started to wear pretty quickly. But, oh well. So in terms of story, it's I mean, I guess it's kind of passable. I just wish they kept a hold of the story. Like, if you're gonna have a story, have a story. But story isn't necessarily everything. What about the gameplay? Well, I will say the gameplay is actually quite fine. I think the gameplay is really fun. Essentially, it's the difference with this game compared to the other Mario Tennis games is that this time you have an energy meter that fills up over time. This depends on how well you do stuff. Maybe having a very good serve, maybe charging up just enough for one of your charge shots or something like that. And then if you get enough energy, you can do various things, such as slow down time by pressing and holding the R button. You can also on various panels, you can actually jump up in the air and actually use gyro controls to actually aim at exactly where you want to aim your ball, which can either destroy somebody's racket, which is a new thing. Your tennis racket actually has a health bar of its own. If you actually don't hit the ball at just the right time, you can more than likely actually get your racket broken. If all your rackets get broken, it's basically a KO. So it's really cool that way. And also, if you charge your energy up the entire way, then you can basically do a special shot, which essentially is basically the same thing as that of the one where you jump on the panel and stuff like that. But at this one, you can activate it at any time as long as you have it lit. And that's really what all of that comes down to when it comes to the gameplay. They do a lot more with the gameplay in the adventure mode, as essentially in the adventure mode, they'll do stuff like you have to hit this many piranhas, or you have to destroy this many snowballs, or you have to score this amount of points. They definitely do a lot with it more in the adventure mode, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, in terms of the gameplay, I would say that the gameplay is actually quite good, and the controls for the game work really good. So, not really much to say in terms of controls. Now it's time to get into content, and this is probably the biggest issue with Mario Tennis Aces. There is just not a lot of content to this game. So essentially, and I'm talking about this like from what I remember, like, and I'm not considering like anything new that's been added. I'm talking about stuff that was there at launch. So essentially the first thing you've got is, of course, your free play mode. This is essentially where you play normal versus matches. It's pretty good, I'll be honest. It's okay, but it's really, I don't know. There aren't really a lot of courts you can choose from. None of them are really that interesting, as they kind of just come from New Super Mario Brothers, so it does feel a little generic in that field. But hey, it's better than Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, where they just use the same court over and over, but just different textures for the ground. So it's better than that in one regard. And I don't know, it's okay. Like, it's cool to play with friends, but there's not really much to free play, to be honest. Then you got the tournament mode, which you can either play online or you can play a CPU tournament. And the CPU tournaments aren't super difficult, to be honest. There's not much to them. I don't know. I feel like it would have been a lot more interesting if they put like an actual like tourney mode in the game that you can play like offline with other actual people. That right there would be really cool. But they do offer online tournaments, and the online for the game works okay. Honestly, to be completely honest, I haven't really played the game much on online. It's okay, it works. One cool thing is that you can actually see how many bars you have, so that definitely does help out, but it's really okay. Definitely isn't top of the tier online like we should be getting for Nintendo Switch Online, but that's whatever. You can still play tournaments alone, but once you complete them, that's kind of it. There's not really much to them. And then, of course, you got the big adventure mode. And the adventure mode, overall, isn't the worst it could be. To me, what I can tell is that Camelot kind of tried to make the adventure mode kind of like that of Splatoon's single-player mode. The difference is that Splatoon's single-player mode consistently felt fun, and it just felt really good. It really felt good, and the payoff at the end was really amazing. It wasn't a lot, but it definitely was something, and it really felt fun and awesome. Mario Tennis Aces story mode is kind of the similar way, where essentially they have, like, it's basically the New Super Mario Brothers, where you run around on a world map and essentially complete various small objectives. Well, actually, the main objective is to just get forward, but these D-bags just love to get in your way and challenge you, because why not just put more obstacles in the path to get to one of the stone tails, or whatever they're called. It's cool, like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. Some of the challenges are very good, but I think one of the biggest issues with the adventure mode is its difficulty. Now, I will honestly say that the difficulty I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the difficulty spikes considerably amount sometimes. Like, there are some levels that I can get, like, in, like, say World 4, for example, that I can get through easily, and then there's other ones where I just can't get past them. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm not the best at the game, but I understand the difficulty spikes. I don't like that. Also, the adventure mode isn't very long. It's only like 5 worlds, and then it's pretty much over. There is another, like, there are like these trial things you can do, but like when you complete the game, but that was added later on, so I don't really care, to be honest. And the end of the adventure mode isn't really that impressive. You just fight Bowser or some stupid crap. And the story really just isn't that interesting. Like, and so when I actually beat the adventure mode, I don't know. I mean, I felt good that I beat it, but I didn't really feel anything else than that. Because it really depends. The adventure mode could take you a long time to complete, or it could take you a few hours, depending on how good you are. So, okay, what else is there? Well, there's also a swing mode, which essentially is similar to that of Wii Sports Tennis, where essentially they kind of try to bring that realistic sort of like tennis sort of thing in your house. It's okay. I don't really think the game works well with this. I don't know. I think Wii Sports Tennis felt way more fun than this. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all there is in terms of the game. Okay, there's also a co-op challenge mode, but I don't have anybody to play it with, and that was not there at the start, so yeah, no thanks. So, yeah. And overall, in terms of content, it's not the best. I'd say it's probably the game's biggest flaw. It just needs more content, but they just don't have a lot of it. I mean, yeah, they have an adventure mode, but it really does feel like they half-ate it. Like, I can tell they kind of just did the adventure mode for a marketing campaign and just really didn't deliver us a very good one. I mean, it's okay for what it is, but it's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to brag about either. But it's whatever. So in terms of content, for $60, I don't think the game is honestly worth it. I mean, maybe if it were $40 or hell, $30, that'd be more reasonable. But I feel like $60 is really out there. Hopefully the game does get a price cut eventually, so that way the game feels a little better, but I don't know. That's just in terms of content. And then, music-wise, the game's okay. I don't really think the game has very standout music. I think the main thing is cool and all that, but I don't know, it just kind of loses a bit of its oomph after a while. And yeah, overall music-wise, it's nothing to really write home about. It's okay. So, now it's time to get into my final thoughts and overall on this game. Honestly, I think this game had some potential. It has good elements, but it feels like they just kind of fell short in a lot of areas. Like, I think the gameplay and the graphics are really good, and heck, even the music can be sometimes kind of catchy too. But then you got the fact that there's not much to the game, there's not a very interesting story at all, there's not a variety of ways to play. So I'm gonna have to just kind of give this game a fair score. On my scale of 0 to 10, I plan to give this game, well, not really plan, but I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. I think that 7 is a pretty good score because the game does have good elements. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good game, and I do like it, but I don't think the game really is worth getting even higher than a 7, to be completely honest, because problems do exist, but hopefully Camelot can do better with the next Mario Tennis game. Hopefully. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys did so enjoy it, let me know in the comments below, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out and take care.
It's showtime! Did you enjoy the show? Well, time for the highlight.